In this video, I will show you how to convert feet inches to decimals of a foot, or feet decimals, also known as feet decimals. This is part 1. In part 2, we will be doing it backwards, from decimals of a foot going to feet inches. For this conversion here, it is absolutely important that you master adding and subtracting fractions, that you have proficiency in 4 ways of writing division, and that you can read a tape measure, and you are proficient in reading a tape measure in both metric and in inches. Now, what I have here further below is 2 tapes taped together with electrical tape. They both start there, and they both have something like 1 foot mark here, where the 2 foot marks line up. I just zoom in maybe a touch closer, but with the upper tape there's something wrong. Well, there's actually nothing wrong with it, but it's somewhat interesting. You can see that the 1 foot marks line up perfectly, but the upper tape is what is called an engineer's tape or surveyor's tape, and you can only get it at survey specialty stores. And what is notable about it is that, and this is important for understanding the calculations, that for example there 0.5 feet lines up with 6 inches, or further down the road here 0.75 lines up with 9 inches. Let me just show you quickly how to read this tape measure. They both start with 0 there, obviously, and then it's got 0.1 foot, 0.2 feet, 0.3, 0.5, further down here 0.8. Let's read it here: 0.7, 0.71, 0.72, 0.73, 0.74, 0.75, 0.76, 0.77, 0.78, 0.79, 0.8 of a foot. And down below is just 8 inches, 9 inches, 10 inches, 11 inches. When we get here, most people get a heart attack if you want to try to lay out something using an engineer's tape measure. You come down to lay out, say, a wall that's supposed to be 6 foot 10 inches, and you pull the tape and yeah, there's no 10 inches on it. What the heck? You need to understand that here the foot has been divided into 10 parts, and this is 0.9 feet, and 0.99 is here, and 0.999 would be somewhere here, and after that there's 1 foot. There's no number 10 or number 11 on the upper engineer's tape. And here I just put some electrical tape, but that was centimeters and millimeters there, but that's a distractor right now. I just got rid of it. On the lower tape you got 10 inches, 11 inches and 12 inches, because the tape here, the 1 foot length, has been divided into 12 equal parts. So we had King James's foot size, and that was yay long, and they said, let's divide it into 12 parts. Sure, let's do it. And that was the inch length. But here on the engineer's tape they said, let's divide this 1 foot into 10 parts. So that's why you have a 0.9 there and then 1 foot. It's critical for the calculation that you understand the difference between 10 parts of a foot or 12 parts of a foot, and how they relate and differ. Consequently, 1.9 feet is not 1 foot 9 inches. Or 1.9, let's go further down the line there, 1.9 feet is here, and it kind of lines up between the 1 foot 10 inch and 1 foot 11 inch marks. say it's kind of close to 1 foot 10 and 3/4. There, 1 foot 9 or 1.9 feet. 1.9 feet lines up, kind of lines up with 1 foot 10 and 3/4. 1.9 feet is not 1 foot and 9 inches. They are there. They are 1 and 3/4 apart at least. Okay, it's critical that you understand it. And likewise, I'm just coming back here. 6 inches is 0.5 feet. I think that's fairly obvious that 6 inches is half a foot, and therefore half a foot is called 0.5 feet, and that's 6 inches. So 0.5 feet is not 5 inches, it is 6 inches. Likewise, 0.75 feet is not 7.5 inches, it is 9 inches. Now, how do we do that in writing? Let's zoom out a little bit and put away this tape. We had enough of that heart attack from the engineer's tape. And let's do some numbers. 6 inches is written like so with 2 whiskers. Question is, what fraction is 6 inches of a foot? What fraction is 6 inches of a foot? Well, 6 inches is 6 out of 12. Does that make sense? 6 out of 12. That's what fraction 6 inches is. That's what part it is of a foot. What fraction or what part is 6 inches of a foot? So there, 6 out of 12, and that's 0.5 feet. And on an ever handy calculator, 6 out of 12 equals 0.5. I know this is obvious here. I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but we go from the obvious to the not so obvious by repeating the same steps and keeping the pattern, because there is a pattern to it. Likewise, we notice that 9 inches lines up with 0.75 feet, but how do we get from 9 0.75? This is how. What fraction is 9 inches of a foot? It is 9 over 12, because there's 12 inches in a foot, and this is 9 out of them. 9 out of 12 is none other than 3 out of 4 equivalent fractions. And 3 out of 4, when you're done with long division or short division, you get that decimal there, that 10-based number. Let's do it on a calculator. It's kind of redundant, but actually let's do it with this one. 9 out of 12, there, 0.75. So 9 inches is 0.75 of a foot in decimal format. So that's 6 inches and 9 inches. How about 1 inch? 1 inch. 1 inch is what part of a foot? What fraction of a foot? 1 inch is 1 over 12, 1/12 of a foot, because there's 12 of them. So 1 inch is 1/12 of a foot. And the decimal equivalent for 1 over 12 is 1 over 12 is that number. I'll just copy it there. 0.083, and the 3 repeats. How about 2 inches? Let's do it with 2 inches. 2 inches is what fraction of a foot? 2 inches is 2/12 of a foot. 2/12 of a foot. And then that will give us another decimal number. 2 out of 12 is 0.1666. There we go. It's kind of obvious, because that's 83 doubled is 166, so I'll just fill that one in. And 6 is repeating there. So 2 inches is what part of a foot in decimal? 0.16 part of a foot. And I'm sure you can find out the rest of the inches. So we've got the 1 and 2 covered. You can do the same with 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11 inches. And you get the equivalence of it in decimal feet. Now, How about 3 foot 2 inch length? What is that in decimal feet and inches? Well, it's fairly straightforward. You grab the feet and it gets written down there as a whole number, and to it gets added the decimal equivalent of the 2 inch part, which is 2/12 of a foot. So it's 3.0 plus 2/12 of a foot. 2/12 was 0.16 repeating, and so the final answer is going to be 3.16 repeating. I know that the decimal dots don't line up, but just bear with me here on this one. So 3 foot 2 inches. I'll line up the next one better, I promise. It is important that you understand that the feet and the inches, both in decimal format, get added up. That's the rule here that's working. Let's try another one. How about 5 feet 7 inches? Wow, that's a new one. 5 feet 7 inches. What is that in decimal feet? Well, we have to add up the 5 feet in decimal format, which is 5.0, and then we have to add up the decimal equivalent of 7/12. The decimal equivalent of 7/12 is 7/12 is that number. That's a 0.583 repeating. You have to add them up, and it looks like that. You can do this addition on a calculator in one move, and this is how you do it. 5 plus bracket 7/12 bracket closed equals 5.58333, and you can just write it down here. 5.583 repeating. Check. And I just wrote it down here. That's all I did. Okay. That's how we convert feet inches to decimal feet. Now, we're not done just yet. We're gonna do fractions of an inch right about now. Let me just flip this paper over. And let's go with, how about half an inch? What fraction, let me just write that one out. What fraction or what part is half an inch of a foot? Well, we know that there is 24 half inches in a foot. If there are 12 inches in a foot, there are 24 half inches in a foot. But where did that come from? Well, it is half inch over 12. And that's 2 divisions, one after another. And in a calculator, you can enter it as 1 out of 2 out of 12. That number. Half an inch is 0.0416 repeating in decimal feet. This is decimal feet. So half inch is half 12th of a foot. I know it sounds retarded, but just go with it for now. Half an inch is half 12th of a foot, and when you do those 2 divisions, that's the decimal feet number that you get out of it. Now, how about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch? What part is 3/8 of an inch of a foot? 3/8 is, we do the same thing, has to be divided by 12 yet again to have its equivalent in decimal feet. And on a calculator it goes 3 divided by 8 divided by 12. That number, 0.03125. This is 3/8 of an inch in decimal feet. Decimal feet. This is 3/8 of an inch, and this first one was half inch. half inch, and 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so I'm sure you can get the pattern from here on, but we'll just do it with one last number. How about, I don't know, 7/16? What part is 7/16? Or what fraction is 7/16 of a foot? 7/16 is 7/16 12th of a foot. And that means that 7 divided by 16 divided by 12 is that part. 0.036, well, let's copy it then, 0.0364583, and the 3 repeating. It's important that you write down all 2, 4, 6, 7 decimals, okay? Don't get sloppy on this. You need all 7 digits to accurately describe 7/16 of an inch in decimal feet. It's important that you have all the decimal digits, okay? Now, let's include these fractions in actual measurements. For example, let's do, where do I put this one? Just zoom out a little bit so you can see more of the paper. There. How about 2 feet 5 inches and how about 3/16 of an inch? 2 feet 5 inches and 3/16 of an inch. Oh yeah, like I said, that's not subtraction, that's how you write feet and inches. 2 feet 5 inches and 3/16 works as follows. 2 feet gets converted into a decimal format, and that's 2.0, and to it gets added to 5 inches when it is converted to a decimal format based on 12 parts, making up a whole. And 5 inches is 5 out of 12 is that number, 0.416, and 3/16 of an inch is gonna be, in decimal feet, 3/16 out of 12 inches is that decimal number, 0.015625, and then you have to add up all of those numbers, and if you do so, you will end up with 5 there, 2 there, 6 there, that's 11, and 1 carryover, that's 3, and that's a 4. I know it's not super tidy, but I will line up the next one a little better. The answer is 2.431625 in decimal feet. Decimal feet. So 2 foot 5 inches and 3/16 is the same as 2.431625. You can do it on a calculator as well without writing down the subtotals, and this is how it looks like. 2 plus bracket 5 out of 12 because it's 5 inches plus bracket 3/16, yeah, 3/16, that's 3 out of 16 out of 12, press total, and we have 2.43229. That's a good one, that's a good one, that's a good one, and those digits are different because I didn't carry, because these 6's here are repeating decimals, because these 6's are repeating decimals, and I should have written up as 6666 and calculate with those ones, which I didn't do. Sorry about that. And but this is already accurate enough to 3 decimal digits. But like I said, you're gonna need 6 or 7, but 2.43, that's already good enough because you can lay it out on this tape measure. And okay, I just taped right over here, so you, oh no, it's here, 2.43. And let's just zoom in. .43 is, so there's 2 2 feet there, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. 2.43 is 1, 2, 3, 2.43 is there, and this answer here is 2.4316. Where is 2.4316? 2.4, 2.43, 2.4116 is somewhere there, eyeballed. Okay, let's just zoom out, and we'll do one more of this. And, oopsie, and zoom out a little more. And last one. How about 7 feet? I don't know, 2 inches and a quarter inch. 7 feet, 2 1/4 inches. What is that in decimal feet? For this, we have to add up the 7 feet in decimal format, 7.0. The 2 inches in decimal format, which is 2 out of 12, and that has a decimal equivalent. 2 out of 12 is that number, 0.16. 0.16, and that's a repeating. And the quarter inch in decimal feet. Now the quarter inch, 1 out of 4 out of 12 is that decimal number, 0.02083, and the 3 is repeating. Now to add it, I would need to continue these 6's, so my answer is not inaccurate at the end. And this last entry came from the quarter inches. Quarter inch is that decimal number. Quarter inch is 1/4 of a foot, and when you do the divisions, that's what the result is. So 6 plus 3 is 9 there. 6 plus 8 is 14, and 1 carry over, so that's a 7. 6 plus 2 is 8, and 1 there, and 7.18749 is the result after addition. Let's do it with a calculator just to see how it works out on a calculator. 7 plus bracket 2 out of 12 bracket closed plus bracket 1 over 4 over 12 bracket closed equals 7.1875. There we go, 7.1875. That's pretty good. That's how we convert feet inches to decimal feet measurements. Okay, practice it until you are proficient with it, with any numbers you can generate.